Good morning, everybody. So, some people asked if I could share the process of me going through new videos for my Laravel Core Adventures course. And yeah, I thought I should give this a try. So, this video is an experiment. I've never done this before. I'm not too comfortable doing live streams, but yeah, let's see how this goes, and maybe I'm going to publish it. No one knows. So for this course, I got here some videos about Eloquent, the last Eloquent Temple of Doom. And yeah, I always wanted to do another video about scopes, so today we're going to deal with scopes. So yeah, let's check out scopes here in the Laravel docs. Where do we have it here? I'm talking about query scopes for Eloquent. So what do I know so far about scopes? I have to say I haven't been using them too much, but you can define some eloquent queries so that when you receive specific elements that they are already filtered. So that's what I have in my mind when I'm thinking about the scopes. But yeah, just giving it the read. So global scopes. Okay, so we have, let's go back here to the top. Okay, it seems we have global scopes and local scopes. Okay, let's start with global ones. They allow you to add constraints to all queries for a given model. Okay, global scopes applying to all queries of a given model. Okay. And writing global scopes. So it seems we're going to create a new class. Okay, this is the H scope. And we're implementing a base scope from Eloquent. And here we are defining the constraint that we want to have for all the models that we receive. So this should mean now when I'm going to receive this model, we're going to receive only models where the age is bigger than 200. And let me just check if is this now specific to a model, or can I use this with every model? Let me see. If your global model scope is adding columns to the select class of the query, you should use the add select method instead of the select method. Okay, this will prevent the unintentional replacement of the query's existing select. Okay, let's see how we can apply global scopes. Maybe this will answer my question. So to assign a global scope to a model, you should override the given model's boot method and use the add global scope method. Okay, so it seems we can use this with every model. And here we need to override the boot method. We're going to load the parent boot method, and then we're going to run this static add global scope method. And we're adding the new instance of the scope that we have defined. And now here's the example here. When we get all the users, we're also checking for the age if the age is greater than 200. Okay, fair enough. Then let's move on. What do we have here? Anonymous global scopes. Eloquent also allows you to define global scope using closures, which is particularly useful for simple scopes that do not warrant a separate class. Okay, so if we do not want a separate class, okay, I see. Now we can use this add global scope static method inside the boot method so that we don't have to spin up a new class or instance for the scope. Okay, fair enough. Removing global scopes. If you would like to remove a global scope for a given query, you may use the without global scope method. Okay, so if we really want to get all the method, we can use the user with global scope method, so we get all of them so that the scope is not being used. Or if we define the global scope using a closure, okay, then we're going to use this keyword for, I think, which we've used here. Okay, so these are two ways to how we can use our eloquent methods without the scope that we have defined. If you would like to remove several or even all of the global scopes, you may use the without global scopes method. Oh yeah, so this is plural now. Okay, good. So let's check out local scopes. So what's the difference here? Local scopes allow you to define common sets of constraints that you may easily reuse throughout your application. For example, you may need to frequently retrieve all users that are considered popular. To define a scope, prefix an eloquent model method with scope. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here for the user model. Okay, we are defining a scope which is called popular. And then we return the query here where the votes are bigger than 100. Okay, and yeah, we should always return a query builder instance, so that's what we're doing here. And here's second one, scope active, and yeah, where active is 1 or true. Okay, so here we define these scopes with a method inside our user model with prefixing them with scope. And I think we should now be able to just get popular as a method on the user model, and that we have this constraint now. But let's take a look. Once the scope has been finished, you may call the scope methods when querying the model. However, you should not include the scope prefix when calling the method. Okay, let me check. So here we're calling the user model, popular, and active. So here we're going to chain these two scopes, and because we get back a query builder instance, we can chain even more methods of eloquent, and then we get the results. Okay, combining multiple eloquent model scopes via an OR query operator may require the use of a closure callback. Okay, let me check. We're getting all the popular users or where. Okay, and then we're saying or where users are active. Okay, so let me just try to wrap my head around that. So we can use this scope. How do you call it? They call it local scopes. Okay, so we define them inside our model directly here with these methods. Okay, that's one way to go about it. Then what do we have here? Anonymous global scopes. Okay, here we define them inside the boot method with this add global scope and then the age. Okay, right now I'm thinking about why would I prefer this approach over these local ones? Because in my opinion, they're much more better to read. They're good to call with just a popular. Let me just check what's different here with calling them. Okay, yeah, now I see the difference, yeah. Of course, global scopes, they're applied to all queries to the user. And here we have these methods that we would need to use in order to apply the scope. Okay, yeah, makes much more sense now, so that's where the difference lies. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Dynamic scopes. Sometimes you may wish to define a scope that accepts parameters. To get started, just add the additional parameters to your scope. Scope parameters should be defined after the query parameter. Okay, so here we're defining a local scope and we pass in the query and the type. And then we can use the type here, and then now you may pass parameters when calling the scope. Okay, of type and then admin. Okay, so here's where we're passing the type to our scope. And okay, that's already it for scope. So yeah, so that's what I normally do. If I want to make a video about a new topic, I sometimes have to look up these features myself. So like with scopes today, I haven't been dealing with them too much. So yeah, then I probably start reading the docs. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then I would just try it out in my editor and to get a better feeling about how they work. And then I would start dealing with how they are implemented inside of the core of Laravel. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the editor. And let me just check what models we have here so far. So I'm now inside my Laravel Core application. So that's the one that I have been using for the last videos. By the way, I think I need to upgrade it to the new Laravel version. I haven't done this yet. But yeah, let's do this later. So what do we have here? We have here users. I did something with time. I think this was for the facades example. And we had this invoice generator method, which we're dealing with for the container videos. Okay, but basically we have just this user model which we can work with. Okay, I think I'm fine with that. Let me just check my database. Going to log in here on a different screen to my Laravel Core database, and now switch to it so that you can see it as well. And we're going to change to the full screen. Oh, it seems that I have speakers here as well. Okay, where's this model? I don't see any speaker model. Okay, that's strange. Let me check if there are any migrations for speaker. Nope. Am I really in the correct database? Laravel Core, yeah, it looks like that. Let me just refresh the database. I think this probably are just some old data that I've been using for some examples. Yeah. Now we're back, we just have some users. And yeah, now I would think of a good example about when I want to use scopes. So let me think if I want to stay with users or if there would be a better example. We have also been dealing with recipes in some examples, so this would work as well. But I think I would stick to the user example for now. I just want to change the user table so that we have some more data we can work with. So we have a name, we have an email. Yeah, let's start simple by adding a boolean for admin. Let's say we have some admin users. And let's make this also nullable. So then we can scope to get all users where they are admins. Is this a good scope to use? Let me try to think. I think this would be a nice local scope. So right now that I'm thinking about the local scopes again, this would be very similar to normally when I have admin users and I want to get just only the admin, I would do something like user admins and I would create a static admins method where I just return all the users. So this is what I normally do. I guess this is why I haven't been using these local scopes. But yeah, normally when I would do this, so to give you some more context, let's go to the user model here. So what I was saying is that if I wanted to get all the users, I would probably do all the admin users. Let's make a static function here, public static function admins, and I would just return this model users, and then how would it go about that? Is it just, can I do this user where method on this model? No, of course not, because I have no access to this instance, so sorry. So what I would do is this user where admin is true. So I would do something like that, and then probably also use the get method. So with scopes, what I've seen so far is, yeah, we're always returning this query builder. So it's not like we use the scope to get all these models. We're just adding this kind of filter scope to them, and then we're getting them. So that's what we do with the local ones. And then of course for the global ones, we're applying them to all the models. Okay, so I'm trying to think if admin is then still something I want to deal with using scope. So probably scope is more something about, yeah, like a kind of filter. And yeah, as mentioned, docs I probably want to chain this method, these scopes. So I think I don't want to go with admins here. I think I want to use a flag for active. So let's say we want to get all the active users. So that's the first thing we want to scope for. And then in the second step, probably, let's say maybe we add a date time. Or maybe we can also use to create it. So maybe I want to do something like give me all the active users which are in my application for longer than 2 years. So this could be something like I want to get all the active users which deserve a badge for being in my application for more than 5 years or something like that. Oh, what else could we do in the examples? What do we have in the examples? We had something about age, about type. Yeah, here again, we could get all the active users which are also admins. Okay, this could work as well. I'm not so satisfied yet with, yeah, I'm always trying to come up with, yeah, good examples that are easy to understand and also not too far away from, yeah, real applications. So this is why I'm taking quite some time to think about which examples I want to use. Of course, right now I'm still testing out this feature, so this doesn't mean right now that I'm going to show this example in the video, but it could be. So this is why I, at this part, already tried to think of good examples. So I really like this active one because, yeah, let's say we have some users that are maybe not active, and yeah, what else can we scope here for our users? So active users. Okay, so I think I'm going to stick with admin and active. So let's just change this here to Boolean, of course. And why do I have unique there? Was that before? Oh, I guess this was probably the email. Did I change that? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so let's add another flag here. And let's say Boolean if the user is active, and now we have one if the user is active and if he is in app. Okay, let me get back here to my example. So what we want to do now is get all users who are admins and active. Okay, so I think I'm good with that. I'm going to refresh my database now. And let's just enter some users here. So maybe we have Christoph. I'm an admin, yes, and I'm active. And then maybe let's add my wife, Claudia. Is she an admin? Definitely not, but she's active. What was missing here? ID. What's your problem? Incorrect integer value. Okay, why don't you just... Oh, duplicate email address. Okay, this is about... I don't care about the email. And let's maybe add my dad. His name is Wolfgang. And let's say he's not an admin and he's not... Okay, I'm fine with that. Let's get back here. So what I want to use is now... I think it doesn't make sense to make a global scopes to get all admins and all active users. So I think of an example for that later, but I want to go with a local scope like that. So let's just copy that. Let's get back to my user model. And yeah, this was for our database notification example. Let's get rid of that. And let's create a scope for, let me see, what was scope active, scope admin. And let's change this to admin is 1. Okay. I'm fine with that. Let's just give it a try. So let's give me all the admin users. I think it should be just like that, right? I don't need to use the prefix scope, just admin. So what I should get back is an eloquent query builder instance. So Laravel Core test, I think it was scopes. Oh yeah, I need to accept this. So was it just scope? It's the wrong one. I think this should be it. Oh, okay, class user not found. Let's import this user class. Oh, no, this one. Yeah, I think it must be about this, right? Okay, of course we can't turn this instance like this, but let's just dump it out. And okay, here we get the query builder instance. So if we would check now for the count, we should get back, I think, just 1 because, yeah, only I'm an admin. Okay, this works. And to make sure it's also the correct one, let's get the first one and let's get the name. Okay, Christoph, that's me. So this is working good. And now let's add another scope here. I'm using this Vim extension for for PHP Storm, and sometimes it just freezes, and then I need to change the file, and then I can go back to use the Vim extension. So that's not something I like in PHP Storm, that the Vim extension sometimes is not working that good. Okay, now we want to scope for the active users, and we don't need to change too much here. I'd like to add the stock block, and here let's just get the active users, and let's also get it, and oh no, sorry, let's get the first one. No, actually I want all, so let's get all. I should get back an collection instance, and then I'm going to run to array so that I can return it here. Let's try this out here. Fair enough, we have now Christoph and Claudia. We both are active. Okay, that's good, and of course I can do the same for inactive users. So inactive, and now we change this to 0 or false. And yeah, let's just try this out as well. Inactive get, and then refresh it, and now we should get my dad, and yeah, here we have him. Okay, fair enough. And one more thing, now let's chain two scopes, so let's get all the active users then, and then we also want to only get the ones which are admin. Give me the first one. We know it should be just me, so let's try this out. Here we get me back, and just to make sure, let's also show the count, and it should also be just one. All right, that's good. Okay, so this is working. This wasn't too complicated to use it, so that's nice. Let me just check why PHP Storm method not found in app user. Yeah, so PHP Storm doesn't know about this active method, because yeah, again, we're probably using some magic PHP method for that, and the method that we're actually using is the scope active, so that's why PHP Storm doesn't know about that. Okay, yeah, let's also do example for a global scope. So let me just check how we define that. Okay, we're going to add a scope class, so let's do that. Pretty sure we can do this with artisan, so maybe something like that. Make scope. Okay, I think my terminal just froze. What's going on there? It's crazy. Okay, so the only thing that I can do is see that I can make a scope with an artisan command. Really? Let me just check this. I'm making a okay, it looks like there's a tutorial how I could add this myself. Add additional command. Okay, so it seems like really this is not an option. So let's see what's this here. Level scopes generated by Paul Redmond. Okay, this is also a package. Strange. Why is this not added to the core? Okay. I don't know, let's just copy this here. That's not the scope class, it's the one. Okay, now here inside app, I'm going to add a new directory called scopes. And new file, let's call it, what was it here, hscope, call it active scope. So I was thinking about doing a global scope to only get active users. So maybe there are some inactive users in the application, but these are ones that you don't want to deal with. So probably it would be a good idea to only work with the active ones when you do any eloquent queries. Okay, let's add this class here now. Clean this up. Let's call this active scope. We're implementing the scope class, and where active is true, or let's say 1. Okay. Now we need to add this to our model. So let's copy that as well. And now inside our user model, let's add it here. Add global scope, and what was the name? New active scope. Okay, so when we now get all the users, we should get just 2 back instead of 3. So inside my route, which I'm using for these tests here, I'm going to grab all the users. And let's also make an array of that. And here we now get just these 2 users. Okay, so this is also working. Yeah, I like this. I think there are probably some very good examples out there where people use this in the application. I haven't had the need so far. Probably maybe I've been using something different. I created a method myself which does something similar. But yeah, I like scopes. Maybe I will use them more in the future. Okay, is there anything else I want to test? Let me just check again. So these are the global scopes. Then there are these anonymous ones. Okay. Maybe this is something interesting later to check this out as well. But maybe in a different video, I'm not sure yet. So local scopes. Yeah, okay, that's the one that we have defined before. Okay, I think it's now a good time to start dealing with how scopes work inside the core. And I think it's a good idea to start with the global ones because I think they're probably easier to handle, but I'm not sure. But I think we have this example here already, so I think it's a good idea to start digging here. So what I would do now at this point is just go through this code here and find out where scopes are applied. I remember while creating the eloquent videos, I have already seen some parts where they did something with scopes, but I'm not sure anymore. And I think it's a good idea to start here. Okay, so we're calling this all method on the user model. We know that this static method is not inside the user model, and I think it's probably also not in the eloquent model. Okay, why is it not searching in all files? Okay, so these are my recent files. Okay, try this one. Search everywhere. Yeah, so this is the base model that I was looking for. And inside here, it's crazy. I did these videos about Eloquent, but still I can't remember if this method is here. But here is it. So this is the method that we're going to call. Again, I have a problem with this Vim plugin. Okay, now back again. Let's just dump out here something I still use. Been working with PHP now, I think 6 or 7 years, and I still going to use this dump here method, and yeah, it's just useful. So now we want to know if we really hit this method. Let me refresh our example here, and yeah, okay. So this is where we get. So we're creating now a new instance of, what is this instance? That's a user. So that's an instance of the user. And then we're calling this new query method on it, and then the get method. Okay, so I think we should check out this new query method. So I think this will be a place where to look for a scope. So, oh yeah, here we already have it. So in this new query method, we're checking for this register global scope, and then this new query without scope. Okay, we're passing in. Okay, let's start with this here, new query without scope. So what does this mean? Get a new query builder that doesn't have any global scope. Okay, fair enough. Here we have this with method, so maybe we want to get this model with some relations that we can eload. So I think that's what this is for. And then with count, do we also get the count inside the model? I don't think so at this moment, but yeah, okay, we don't want to deal with that. So I think maybe let's go back here and let's just dump this out to see what this returns. Okay, we get a new builder instance from the users. Okay, that's all. Yeah, here also the model says we're using the user model. We don't eco-load something. We don't have any scopes defined. Okay, so here I remember now that we have the scopes attribute in the builder. Very probably can define some scopes. But now we're getting query without the scopes. Okay, let's take a look at this register global scopes method. So what does this do here? So for each this global scopes, so we're going to loop over them. We're going to probably add to the builder this global scope. Okay, so what is this? Let's dump this up. If I would guess, I think, yeah, it's just this array with some scopes that we have defined. So let's try it out. Yeah, that's right. So we have an array. Here we have this full class name to this active scope class that we have defined. And here is, it looks like this is already an instance of this method. Okay. So this is what we get in here. And the identifies what we've seen, that's a full class name, and the scope, this is the instance of our scope. Okay, let's check out this with global scope method. So we're running it on the Eloquent builder. So again, we're looping over this method, so we're running this multiple times. So okay, now we say we're adding to the scopes attribute on the key identifier the scope. That's what we're doing here. Okay, and then if the method exists scope, if the method exists extend on our scope instance, then we're going to run the scope extend method. Okay, so do we have a scope method, extend method inside our scope method? I don't think so. No, we just have this apply method. So I think maybe this extend is something additional feature to use. I want to edit it anyway. I'm just going to dump out at this point the extend method is given. So that's just an easy, simple way to check if this condition is true. Yeah, I would have thought so as well. So this is not something that's being triggered, this method here. But here we are adding the scope. So I think this is what's important here. So I think now at the end of this method here, so let's just try this out by calling I need to call on the builder. I want to get the scopes. So I think at this point it should be empty. Okay, so what does this method does? Call it given local scopes. Okay, that's not what I want. I actually wanted to get the scopes array, but probably I can't access it. So let's go to the Eloquent builder and let's look for scopes. So yeah, so it's a protected array, so I can't access it from there. Let me think how I would check this now. Let's get rid of that. Oh, I think if we should dump out now the builder, we should see it. Scopes, yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. Now we see here we have this scopes entry in the scopes array. So that's what was happening here. So let's get back to to the model. We are already inside the model. So where have we been with this method? We were calling it from here. Yes, okay, so we create a new query without the scopes, then we're running this register global scopes method. Here we are looping over all the scopes that we have defined. How do we check this? Okay, that's interesting. This is static global scopes. So now we are inside a trait, inside the base model. Let me just check what we get here. Is this also an array? I'm not sure here. Yeah, this is also an array. But this one is now... So I'm now wondering where it comes from. So now we're inside... Yeah, so inside the model. Okay, right. So inside the model we have defined our global scopes. Okay, now I got it. So inside our user model we have defined this add global scope method where we're going to add this. And this is why we now get here this global scopes from this, which is in our case the user model. And then now inside the Eloquent builder, we're going to run this method where we're going to add these models to the Eloquent builder. Okay, so let's get back. So where was this register global scope method being called? So here, new query. So At this point, after this method, we have set the scope to the query. And now we're going to run this get method on it. And I think, okay, yeah, here we have it already. Here we're going to run this apply scopes method on the builder. And I think at this point we should now run this apply method somehow that we have defined in our active scope. So this one. So let me see, we're checking if it's not empty scopes. Okay. Then we're going to clone this. So we still have Eloquent Builder. And now for each scope, we're going to check if it's not set scope identifier, then we return. Okay, so we want to make sure that it exists. And now we are going to run the call scope method on the Eloquent Builder. And we're using the scope here. And let me try to read this. If the scope is a closure, we will just go ahead and call the scope with the builder instance. The call scope method will properly group clauses that are added to this query, so where clauses maintain proper logic. Okay, if the scope is an instance of a closure, so that would be the case if we would use where do we have it? Yes, this would be the case. What was it called again? Anonymous global scopes. So then our scope would be a closure. But this is not the case for us. Oh yeah, by the way, if it is a closure, then we're going to just run this method here. This one. So, and we're going to pass the Eloquent Builder, and yeah, this is why we also get it here and where we can add this constraint. Okay, but in our case, this is not the case. Again, to just make sure. No, I just wanted to dump it out here, but this code runs anyway. So if the scope is an instance of the scope class, so this is where we should be. Again, this famous ugly dump and die here method. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, here now we run this apply method where we run this apply method on our scope that we have defined. So this one here. And this is where now this constraint is being added to the builder. And then we're going to return the builder. And I think that's already it. So let's sum this up. So also for me, good to remember. Let's go back to our route. So we have a global scope defined inside our user model. Inside our user model, we're going to add this global scope, which is active scope. So this is a global scope class that we have defined. And we're going to add this through our users. And now we're calling the all method on the users to get all the users, but in the back we only want to get the ones that are active. So then inside our all method we are creating a new query, and inside this new query we're going to check for these global scopes. And if there are global scopes, we're going to loop over them and add these global scopes to the Eloquent Builder. And then later, when we execute the query, Laravel is checking for these scopes here. And yeah, inside this method, we're checking if there are scopes, and then we're looping over them. And depending on our scope is an anonymous scope, which would be a callback, a closure, we would run this method here. But if it's an instance of the scope instance, then we would run the apply method on the scope instance. And by the way, let's get rid of this ugly banner here at the top. Okay, cool. So this is now how global scopes are working. And I'm still not sure if I should continue now with this video. I think it's already quite long. I think maybe let's just keep it here, or maybe I keep going and split the videos. Maybe I'm going to publish another one. I'm still not sure yet if this video was helpful to you. So maybe I just give it a try. But I think I would stop here this video, and yeah, thank you for watching. I hope I could help you. I hope I could show you how I create new videos and how I would go about a new topic and how I would dig into the core and check out the topic. And with scopes, yeah, it was a little bit different because I didn't know too much about scopes, so I had to read the documentation and try it out myself before I could dig into the core. So yeah, maybe it shows you that of course I don't know everything myself as well. I need to learn the stuff new every time, and I think that's true for all of us. So yeah, I still hope it was helpful. So yeah, let me know by, I think we'll post it on YouTube by commenting it on YouTube, or yeah, hit me up on Twitter. And yeah, thank you so much and have a great day, and I hope you're looking forward to when I finish this video, and then you will have this video inside the Eloquent series of my Laravel Core Adventures video series. Thank you and see you.